Well, hello and welcome and happy World NIDCAP Day to everyone. I'm Keira, the Executive Director of NICU Parent Network, and I am absolutely delighted to be here today to celebrate World NIDCAP Day with Gretchen Lawhon. Gretchen is a clinical nurse scientist. She is a NIDCAP past president and master NIDCAP trainer. Gretchen, thank you so much for being with us today, and just happy World NIDCAP Day.
Why, thank you, Keira. It's really a pleasure. I'm well aware for a number of years of the great work that you and the NICU Parent Network have been doing, so I'm pleased to have this opportunity.
Well, thank you. So let's just jump right in because you have been in the NICU since 1980, and you actually helped to develop NIDCAP with Heidi. So tell us a little bit about that, your personal experience. How were you transformed to do this work?
Sure. It's a funny question for me because although I had been a nurse for a number of years prior, really my whole career and journey as a professional, a nurse and scientist completely matches with the NIDCAP program. So, it started actually in 1980. I was working in the NICU for the first time and saw this woman who would just stand at bedsides and stare at babies with a clipboard. And I was fascinated. And of course, it was Dr. Heidi who was an infant neurobehavioral psychologist. And I immediately wanted to know who she was, what she did, and wanted to be a part of it. And so I've had the good fortune of doing that. So it transformed me in every way possible, both professionally, because it gave me the ability to see the human newborn, no matter how tiny or critically ill, as a complicated human being who had emerging competence. It changed how I acted as a nurse. I think I used to do things to babies as opposed to with babies. It changed how I thought about parents. I had the mistaken idea that while babies were critically ill, I needed to temporarily act as a parent until the babies were better. But of course, you can never change that message if you inadvertently give the wrong message that you're not good enough or skilled enough to care for a baby. So I learned quickly that my job as a NICU nurse was to support the parent in nurturing their son or daughter, regardless of how critically ill the infant was. And I think because of the relationship based nature of the work and seeing others in their best light, in their emerging competence, as opposed to deficits, it changed all of my relationships personally as well as professionally. I certainly became, I think, a better spouse. I learned this work even before I became a parent of children, now adults, 41 and 35. It's influenced me in every way.
That is beautiful. One of the things that I've heard you say is that we're taking care of these babies, and their developing brain is literally in our hands, and that's a really profound statement because I don't think the general public really thinks about that. So tell me what it is that continues to drive you to do this. It's now over 40 years you've been doing this work. So what keeps you going?
I think what keeps me going is just the tremendous amount of satisfaction to see the parents' eyes light up when I'm evaluating their son or daughter, and they learn for the first time things that some people think are just assumed. Seeing the various typical newborn reflexes that the baby has, that actually, if I hold them up, they will stand and they will take steps and demonstrate those reflexes to elicit the infant's ability to focus and follow and be able to track human face and voice. And we use this big red apple that has a chime, and oh, he can see, Yes, he can. And not only that, look how well he can pay attention and be able to make eye contact, no matter how small, when appropriately supported. And I don't tire of this work. I will work as long as I am able to because it's so incredibly, it gives me, it refuels me every time I evaluate a baby.
Yeah.
Um, I'm in such a wonderful position because in a newborn ICU, as all parents know, you get a lot of numbers thrown at you. You're looking at heart rates and saturations for oxygen and weights in grams and pounds and ounces and the milliliters a baby can have. And I look in the most comprehensive way with either the NIDCAP observation or the APIB assessment of preterm infant behavior. And I'm able to then talk to the parents about who their son or daughter is as a person. What does he want to do? And how can we help him do it? What does she enjoy? What makes her feel more comfortable? And support them in knowing when you're with her and she's, looking for something to grasp, just give her your little finger to grasp. And it makes a world of difference to the parents. And I think that's what really gives me the pleasure and the pride in doing this work, because I get to do this probably with 25 different babies a week.
Oh,
And
wow.
every time, especially if the parents are there, which is my goal, but not always possible. But there's just so much. I feel so privileged to have this kind of satisfaction in my work.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in a clinic room and I'll look at 6 different babies this afternoon. And sometimes when the parents are, wow, that's really cool and thank you. And I just say, no, it's my privilege, and I can't believe that someone actually pays me to do this because it's incredible. So I think just being able to have that kind of pleasure and pride in my work while I'm trying to support that in the parents is what makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, I can certainly attest to, because I learned after hearing you speak that the primary nurse for my daughter, who passed away after the NICU, and was very critical for a very long time, was NIDCAP trained, which made everything make sense because she really did help me to see Zoe as a baby and not a sick baby, if that makes sense. And it really was, her coaching and her teaching and, and encouraging and nurturing of both of us, that helped me to bond with a baby that I was scared to love, because I was afraid I'd lose her. And it was, I can just personally attest to the power of the work that you do. So for anybody who doesn't know what NIDCAP is, what is it? How does it help families?
NIDCAP stands for Newborn Individualized Developmental Care and Assessment Program. And there's 2 ways we evaluate babies. When they're really small and require a lot of technical support for their survival and to help them breathe, then I'm not touching them. I'm literally standing, as any NIDCAP professional would, with a clipboard, looking at a baby before, during, and after care is provided. So we can look at, okay, what is this baby's baseline of behavior? How does she respond to handling? And how does she settle afterwards? And from that, looking in a very comprehensive way, looking at breathing and color and muscle tone and every behavior, what the arms do, what the legs do, the grasping, the trying to bring hand to mouth, how they settle. Do they come into alertness? Do they simply get very fussy and upset with care? And can they transition nicely back to sleep if they've come awake? That allows me then the ability to put all of that data into a very nice descriptive summary. And it's always written in the language that any parent would understand. Language is so important because it keeps us I think, emotionally in tune with what we're saying when we use simple language.
Yes.
If I have to say that, a baby had significant bleeding in her brain, that has the emotional connection of what I'm conveying to a parent versus a professional just saying, grade 3 IVH. That doesn't have the emotional component. And so parents can read the summary and see, wow, not only does this baby live in an incubator temporarily and need this kind of support, but look, she's a human being who's trying to do things. And now I can try to do the suggestions to help her feel comfort and to help her mature and develop as I nurture her.
Yeah.
So the hands-on, the assessment of preterm infant behavior is done sort of close before discharge when they're healthy, growing, and robust, and they can be handled. And that I try as best I can to do with the parents so they can see and we can discuss as it's happening. And it's just an amazing way to individualize the care to every baby and family. The other key component is the relationship-based aspect. I'm communicating with the baby, with the parents, and supporting that nurturing relationship so that parents, of course, have a nurturing relationship with babies, but the healthcare professionals are providing care in a relationship-based manner with the baby, not to the baby, and among one another, because once you view a human being in this manner, I mean, every adult is a grown-up newborn, and so it's hard to turn it off, nor should we. It's very advantageous to look at every human being with emerging strength and competence and ways to support any vulnerability. I hope that's a fair explanation of what it is.
I think it is. I think, what really resonates with me is the importance of the relationship building, like you said, with, from family and baby and family and practitioner and baby. It's just, we're all so interconnected for such a long time. And no matter how short the NICU experience might be for a family, the relationships that we build stay with us forever and help us to be empowered and to continue to connect with our babies. So again, I can't speak highly enough of how important this type of training is. So how do families find you and find NIDCAP? Because not every hospital has NIDCAP training.
That's a sad state of the world right now.
Yes, it is.
So families find me because I see every family in the newborn intensive care unit where I work. And so it's very easy. I meet them within the first week. I'm evaluating babies, all the babies who are born under 32 weeks. Within a week, I've provided an evaluation with the family and met with them in person if possible to explain everything. And then I follow them through the NICU and into the wellness center where I'm sitting right now. We follow babies till 3 months after due date. And then if they were at risk under 32 weeks or a term baby with a neurological concern, then we advance them to the traditional neonatal follow-up program. Mm-hmm. But in terms of, in general, how could families find NIDCAP work or know where that is? Mm-hmm. We can always suggest just going on the internet and searching for NIDCAP. It's very simple. If you just put in NIDCAP, you'll see NIDCAP.org. A lot of different things come up. If you go to the NIDCAP Federation website, you'll learn where are the centers around the world. I didn't double check before this interview, but I know we have close to 30, if not 30 NIDCAP centers around the globe, and really all over. My work has been centered both in the US and Israel and Japan, but others have been working elsewhere, and there are many new centers sprouting as we speak. So I think just looking for it, I think it's a good idea when you're pregnant and expecting a premature baby or a baby who may have problems, because sometimes we are aware of it ahead of time, to start asking the question about NIDCAP. If they don't know NIDCAP, one could at least say, do you do individualized developmentally supportive care? How do you do that? Because certainly there are a number of other programs that have sprouted since NIDCAP began. NIDCAP is the first and the most well proven from research, evidence-based program.
Mm-hmm.
I am a little biased, but
Right, so.
to start asking those questions and looking.
And so NICU Parent Network, of course, is a collaborative of community-based organizations and NICU parent leaders. So, what can we do as NICU parent leaders to to advocate for NIDCAP if we happen to be working with a hospital that maybe isn't a training center, doesn't have the training? What would you suggest?
I would think that any parent support organization, and as I know NICU Parent Network has done, is really building awareness for families to know there are ways to care for babies that can be more supportive than other ways, and getting the message out in some way through networking or providing educational programs so that parents and the other parent support organizations are aware of this. Doing some political advocacy work, which I know about. I can't say I've been that involved in it on a personal level, but I know how powerful that approach can be for parents and parent support organizations to have a strong voice, to speak up and let hospitals know we want this. Do you know they have it over here? I used to have, and I don't know where we're at in the United States with this, but we certainly have talked about in the past in the NIDCAP Federation that perhaps we could have a strong voice if parents and their organizations had a strong voice with third-party payers. Could there be some major promotion for those units that did provide the best developmentally supportive care, which I believe is the NIDCAP approach? Could that have an advantage to those hospitals in terms of the kind of reimbursement and priority? Those are my initial thoughts. I feel rather limited in this. I'm thinking back to our last annual NIDCAP trainers meeting where, of course, we had Silke Madre from Germany, who is the most expert on talking about political advocacy. And
Right.
I felt really humbled by her presentation, because she, of course, has spent her life in this exact manner. And
Right. Absolutely.
I'm more in the day-to-day with babies and families, which of course is also important.
Yes, absolutely. So today is World NIDCAP Day, and this was started a few years ago. Can you tell us a little bit about why it was started and what can we do to celebrate today?
Well, this, of course, is one example. It's an effort. World NIDCAP Day, I think, is an effort to really increase the awareness of NIDCAP work, and also to provide an opportunity, such as this interview, where we can acknowledge and celebrate the work that is done to support infants and families in this manner all over the world. I think it's been 4 years, if I'm correct, that this has been happening. I think that it's a way for those of us who do the NIDCAP work, it's a way to just spend one day to stop and celebrate. Yes. Possibly even to promote the work in a way to let everyone know the good work that we're doing and to feel good about what we're doing. The NIDCAP work, I have to say, having been involved for over 40 years, when it's done well, it is incredibly emotionally exhausting work. And of course, if we feel that as NIDCAP professionals, then it's only 1% of what mothers and fathers feel in the emotional exhaustion of going through the journey of a newborn ICU experience. It really is our often phrase that we use is that as a NIDCAP professional, we can be the voice of the newborn. And when I observe a baby, I definitely feel like I need to tell that baby's lived experience story to others so that they can learn, because not everybody has learned to see and appreciate the communication of the infant's behavior and what that means. And it's about improving care through those supportive relationships. I think it's hoped that our annual worldwide celebration of NIDCAP is bringing greater attention and promotion. It's all about partnering. And that's the relationship. It's partnering with babies, it's partnering with families, partnering as we are between the NIDCAP Federation and the NICU Parent Network. So once a year, just stop, and incredible things happen.
Yes.
We were talking a little bit before this interview that Niagara Falls will be healed today. That's amazing.
That's so wonderful. And we do have the website up in the chat box. In the comments, nidcap.org/world-NIDCAP-day. So definitely encourage everybody to take a look at different ways that you can celebrate, and certainly follow all the NIDCAP social media channels as well. Well, Gretchen, I just want to thank you so much for being with me today, but also, even more importantly, for the work that you have done over so many years to support and help families and babies, and through your work with NFI. It's really just, like I said, I've been personally impacted, and I know the power, I know the importance of it, and we need more healthcare partners like yourself and those who are a part of NFI. So thank you so much. And I hope you get a little chance today to continue celebrating, even though you're in, well, I guess you are celebrating.
That is my celebration.
Right. You're doing it. You're doing it.
I celebrate, I think, by seeing the increased pleasure and pride in parents when I help them to appreciate their son or daughter and understand them a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you so much, Keira. It was so wonderful to see you again.
Yes, you as well. So happy World NIDCAP Day, everybody.